1 week ago, I visited San Quentin State Prison as a rabbi. I was visiting because of the invitation of chaplain Paul Schleffer, Rabbi Paul Schleffer, who is the chaplain at San Quentin. And he invited me to come and do some singing and some praying, and it was a very powerful experience that I promised to share, and this is my chance to share with others something that I just shared with my students, some kindergarten through 5th graders, because it was during the time that I would ordinarily be with them that I went to the prison. This is what I shared. I went to this prison not knowing what to expect, not particularly afraid, but not really knowing what was going to happen. I had in my mind a story that I shared in another video right before I went, which was that when Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach went around, he visited prisons very often, and in fact, one of the most famous stories about him was his refusal to go do a concert unless everyone was invited. He hugged everyone and then heard from a person who was described as the most violent of the prisoners, that if only this man had received a hug like that and been able to hug as a child, perhaps he never would have ended up in prison. I remember that story as I read the instructions before I go, saying I'm not allowed to hug anyone. So what am I going to experience? What is it going to be? My students just asked me, were you scared? I said, not really. Well, what did you do? Were they all Jewish? And I said, I don't know if they were all Jewish. There was a man on my left wearing a kippah who knew a lot of Torah. He knew which parsha we were up to. He knew midrashim about Lech Lecha. There was a man in front of me when I sang a certain nigun who said he felt like he was back on kibbutz. And there's a man on my right who seemed to know a lot about the image of God. Wasn't talking in a Jewish way about the Bible, but seemed to really know his stuff. But that's not what was striking to me. All of it was powerful. The most striking to me was as I was preparing for the experience to go to this prison, I brought my guitar. I prepared some Torah, and I showed up and sang a little bit and taught a little bit. And then the chaplain asked me if I would sing a song that I'd written called Olam Chesed Yibaneh. And I was prepared to sing it, but what I wasn't prepared for was for all of the prisoners knowing it already. It's a song that I wrote almost 16 years ago for my daughter. It's a song about building the world from love. You might have heard of it. But ultimately, one of the things that blew my mind was that 15 men all around me who likely have done wrong things, bad things in their life. They closed their eyes. They knew the Hebrew. They knew the song. They know my daughter's song. And there I was, privileged just to pray with them, to sing with them, to cry with them. The rules might have said I couldn't hug them, but boy, were we hugging. Boy, was there magic in that air. I sang it once, and then I said, please indulge me. I've never sung it in such a holy way before. I've never experienced the song the way it was meant to be sung. Who knew that the holy space at San Quentin Prison was waiting for me just to open up my own heart? It was actually very hard to leave. It was very purposeful to be there. Sometimes the conversations that we have in other holy spaces end up being very particular and pedantic. They might be important in the large scheme of things, but it's clear to me that there were these men, hopefully trying to repair their lives, be better, be in touch with their souls, connect to God, learn with this rabbi, not me, their chaplain, who was there all the time, bringing them love and meaning, and the gift that I received to be able to go there. So what I said to my students just now, my kindergarten to 5th graders, was we recite Ashrei every week, this beautiful prayer from Psalms, where it opens up with Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha. It's happy. It makes me happy to sit in a holy place. I didn't know San Quentin was a holy place. The middle verse is Potech et Yadecha, and we open our hands and we say literally, God, you open your hands and you give every living thing what it needs. I don't really know what it means for God to have hands. Really, what does that even mean? But I do know what it is to have hands myself. And the only way I know if God's hands are open in giving or if my hands are open in giving. I didn't know that until I went to San Quentin. And then the final verse of Ashrei is Va'anachnu nevarech, and we're going to sing to God. I got to tell you, I sing a lot, but I don't know if I've sung that way in a very long time. Heart totally open, soul totally present, with other people with their eyes closed who knew the words, the melody, maybe even better than the one who wrote it. And so what I want to say is that I'm going back. And that if you have the opportunity not just to give a hug and to get a hug the way that these men aren't allowed anymore, at least not officially, give a hug and get a hug. And if you have the ability to be there present with someone, be there for them, let them be there for you. And if you wonder if God's hands are open in the world because you don't experience it enough, maybe you can just open your own hands and be happier where you are. Be settled where you are, not take it for granted. I'm going to go back. I hope you'll find a way to go too.